Long time no talk, it feels like.
I know. I know you look good. You look really good. You look like you're really healthy.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I haven't been smoking, so there's that. I don't know, maybe that's helping.
Yeah. So, okay,
Yeah.
so tell us, so guys, with today with me on the Typical Skeptic podcast, I have Indigo Angel. She's live in Algeria, so she's going to tell us what's going on there and what you're doing in Algeria. This is amazing. Like, what's going on?
It's a little crazy, right? Like Algeria, I didn't even know what Algeria was until about, I think about 8 months ago. I started to learn about it because my research started to take me in that direction. I've done a lot of deep dives on the templating and the grid structures and the history and the geopolitics and all of this stuff, all of the ancient antiquity studies of Atlantis. And I've been decoding it for years, as many of us have. And it kind of led me to the goddess of Tinhinan. And so Tinhinan, according to like folklore and Berbers and Amazigh traditions, she was a goddess that actually escaped the fall of Atlantis and then reestablished civilization after the fall. And she did that um, going to Algeria, basically Algeria and the borders of Tunisia, essentially, which is if you tie a lot of the history back together, um, a lot of the Egyptian pantheon was also born out of Tunisia. So Tunisia has a reputation for holding this mother of us all mythology, whether it's the goddess of Tinhinan or the goddess of Neith, which eventually went on to birth, Isis and Athena and Minerva and, all of these things. So I've kind of just been following these little cookie crumbs, these little trails, just trying to get more of a picture about everything. I think probably in the future, I'm going to be putting all of my research and literature together and, writing a big book on all of my studies. So, yeah, it's
Wait,
been
this is
quite the
interesting.
journey.
I just want to say, so like I traced the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki seems like they went to like Armenia and Scotland and Ireland and stuff like that. And then they were in Egypt, and now you're saying they might have been in Algeria too, it sounds like. Is it these same gods that were like all over the world?
Well, there's definitely Anunnaki hybridization that took place, definitely. And yeah, North Africa is a huge region in which these bloodlines came in and tried to essentially colonize. I mean, North Africa has been colonized by multiple different races and lineages throughout history. They seem to have been conquered a lot. So there's a lot of remnants of that here in North Africa. There's so much history in North Africa that we don't know about. It's absolutely insane. It's like an untouched part of history. There's so much treasure underneath the Sahara, underneath these sands that are coming to light more and more. There's portal structures, that's the Nisisanian pentagram. There's the gravesite of Teen Hinan. There's the Tassil National Park. There's Safar, which is said to hold ancient civilizations and ruins and stuff in there that hasn't even really been excavated because you can like not even get in there unless you go on foot type of thing. So, I mean, really the vast area of the Sahara has been, it's a mystery. It's a mystery, but it holds all of the knowledge of this. If you go back to Plato's account, we have the archaeological site of Mauritania, right? And Mauritania is said to structurally be speaking what Atlantis looked like. And then you have this big knock or rift on the geological tectonic plate there. Looks like geological upheaval took place. And then there's ancient river systems, such as the Tamanrasset River system that flows from Mauritania all the way to Tamanrasset, all the way to Algeria. So there's a lot of clues that there could have been an ancient Atlantean road structure, basically, that spanned across the Sahara, that a lot of this has dried up today, and we just don't have the recollection for it. But a lot of the water systems are starting to represent the Tamanrasset Mega River and also Lake Tritonis, which is said to be where a lot of this goddess mythology original birth. So when we're talking about the Anunnaki, how I come to see that and like where I see their placement in it is that I think they descended down the three Abrahamic religions. It's said that And Lull went on to kind of birth this priesthood of men. And so Abraham was one of those priests. He was part of the priesthood. And so I think it's the birthing of the three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, in which the Anunnaki gene code descended. So, I mean, I think, yeah, they're all over the world. I mean, they're all the Anunnaki. We're a hybridized collective with them to some degree. If you look at it in terms of, you know, descending down these templates, egregores, Templar systems, basically. So that's kind of, how are you tying that in? How are you tying the Anunnaki into this? Like, where were you going with that?
It's just interesting. I agree with what you said. I mean, like Abraham was like the father of the major three religions, and his father was like a priest for Enlil, so they say supposedly. But I mean, it's just interesting to see their traces all over the world. So I was wondering if their traces were there in Algeria too. Like, is it like prominent? Like, and like how much of it is like Muslim faith, and is it? Do you see? Do they have secrets of like extraterrestrial visitation that they're not telling the Western world? Maybe that's a good question. So there's a lot there to unpack, but like,
Yeah, totally. Well, I think that North Africa in general went to a conversion to Islamic beliefs. I'm not sure like what year or century that took place, but it's been a while. So if you look back at, you know, this territory's traditions and ancient culture, it was the Berbers and the Amazigh. So these were more of like pagan philosophies and beliefs. I don't know if there's actually any like written scripture that's been collectively agreed upon or put together that has any like um, record of our origins being descended down from, you know, alien gods. So I'm not sure if the Anunnaki legend lives through who I would consider the original ancient bloodlines to the original Atlanteans. So
so it's deeper. It was what you're saying. You're saying it's deeper than the Anunnaki. It goes way back to there's like hidden traces of Atlantis you're finding.
yes, yes, exactly. I really believe that the entire North African region was Atlantis. I'm going to share a picture with you actually.
Yeah, let me let
Um,
you share. Let me
this
enable screen sharing. If you have a bunch of pictures, oh wait, how do I do this? Wait, I'm sorry, it's early here. It's like 11 o'clock. There, I let you share screen. Uh,
Hey, no problem.
I'm like a little bit
So
slow brain when I first wake up in the morning, so it's like 5 o'clock where she's at, guys, but it's like 11 o'clock here. I just literally woke up, so it's like, but this is interesting. This is
okay, so yeah, you can see how the where the arrows are pointing. Like this would be where the Research structure is located. The Research structure, the Eye of Mauritania being the structural description, what Plato says Atlantis would be. This being an island of Atlantis that connects into the Strait or the Gibraltar of Hercules, also the Atlas Mountains. I mean, considering this the island of Atlantis, and I just want to give it a shout out and a thank you to someone who actually sent this picture to me. So if they're watching and they know who they are, thank you very much. But basically, this purple outline here is the Tamanrasset Mega River. And so this is actually that road to Atlantis that I was just kind of like spitting out really quickly as we were just talking. I think this follows down to this river's end, which is actually where Teen Hinan, this goddess of the folklore that survived Atlantis, is where her gravesite is located. So it's
can you tell us more about who is Hinan? Like, what do we know about her? Is she like a ancient African goddess?
well, she carries similar mythology as to Neith does. So, you know how you have like these ancient pantheon goddesses that are like a part of traditions. Teen Hinan is a part of like the Berber culture and the Berber tradition. And she is considered, carries the label of the mother of us all. And she uh, I guess she was a very tall, ancient, like Amazonian woman. And they found her gravesite buried here. It's one of the only existing tombs that hasn't been excavated or taken out of the ground. like in terms of goddesses that have been identified, you know, like how we have others like Cleopatra and all this stuff and they're in museums. Well, her stuff is like still in the ground, like her grave, her tomb site has been held in secrecy for like years and years and years. And basically she just, like, the story of what she did was escaped the fall of Atlantis and then came and reestablished civilization in these ancient tribes at this time and led us to the world we know today. The reason why I think this is coming up is because I've been doing a lot of studies and research back to the mitochondrial mother cells. And this goes back to like the African Eve. So these goddesses are said to hold the mitochondrial cells to the original mother, the African Eve. And so the information, basically sharing this, would help kind of heal the collective of what's happening, where like growth genes are getting turned off and there's all kinds of degradation on the mother energy, the goddess energy, the mother lines, all of this stuff, right? Like it's coming forward to bring a clearing for the collective over the mother's energy, the mother cells in the body. And this is kind of what's being activated, I think, on a collective level, even though it's a very like unconscious and subconscious thing that's playing out. But it's all tying together more pieces of history and more pieces of what and where the true origins of the mitochondrial mother actually came from.
That's fascinating. So you're saying the out of Africa theory is kind of true then, or
I think so. I mean, it's it's one truth, you know. It's not all truths, all timelines, all dimensions, all parallels, but I think it is a truth that goes through, you know, that as well. I mean, of course, there's Lemuria and there's, you know, the Ioni tribes and the matriarchal lineages of this time, but it could just be a resurfacing of matriarchal rulership from the Atlantean era, basically and technically. I don't know if this would stand true going back to Lemuria, so to speak, but I think it stands true for the fact that even Atlantis descended down from matriarchal rulership. Because if you look at the ancient beginnings of where these goddesses came from, Algeria, the borders of Libya, Tunisia, this is where we find the warrior Amazon woman. And this is where it's crazy because you see these energies like Athena, you see these energies like Minerva. These are being used in the Capitol buildings. These are used by politics and Congress. It's the Lady Libertas. They're drawing the energies from these spirits, from these archetypes, from these living consciousnesses on the earth. And so where is that coming back from? Where are they capitalizing off that energy? It's going back to the original matriarchal lineages of female Amazons and warriors. So it's kind of like following the cookie crumbs of where, you know, this is being expressed currently, politically, environmentally, collectively, and tracing back those filaments of timelines to work with things, heal things, use gridworker technologies. I mean, this is all important to me because I do stuff like this, you know,
yeah,
so
so
I
I got a
apply.
question. So you're saying like Washington's kind of tapping into this in a bad way. Like, can we tap into these energies in a good way? Like, if that makes any sense. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can definitely tap into them in a good way for healing. And again, for what I was saying, like turning on growth genes, because this is what's happening, I think, with the collective is the nurturing energy gets turned off because we have such degraded mother arcing systems and mother lines and ancestor generational wounding, immediate parental wounding. And so it happens when the nurturing doesn't happen from the mother, right? And you're not able to like integrate light from that source, it turns off your growth genes. They actually go into like a reversal spin and it actually suppresses the soul's evolution. And so that's one of the ways that you could work with it to heal is by recognizing, you know, where you're plugging into in terms of drawing or feeding upon that mother nurturing quality, tuning it back into the original sources of this and generating those good qualities. And whatever principle that mother energy is coming to you through whatever belief structure you're going through. Sometimes it's the divine Shekinah, sometimes it's the divine feminine Christ, Sometimes it is the cosmic womb, but for me, what I'm looking at here and now, it's these goddesses of ancient antiquity that actually held the candle that keeps Mother Mary alive. Like that's actually holding the candle through religion, because Mother Mary survived under the guise of, you know, Christianity really as the goddess Isis. So it's, and not only that, I think I've been on this deep excavation, energetically and personally speaking, with restoring the feminine energy overall. And every time I lock one gate, I get a new one. Like I just went to Rome and did the head reassignment to Medusa, right? Like I was supposed to like find her head and put it back on and clear all the demonic crap on Medusa's name. Got attacked for 3 months by demons because of that from the Vatican. No shit. And like now I get some passageway that's like, oh, now you need to go to Algeria and you need to figure out what's going on with Teen Hinan because everything's connected. And so it's like I just live on this collective like whim of following the guidance of source and spirit and the messages that I need to transmit with it, which is to educate people about this. So that way I can hold kind of like the passageways open for people to access the timelines if they need to use it for healing, if they need to use it for clarity, if they need to use it for inspiration, whatever it does, whatever chink in their chain it connects for them. But like I think it's relative. What do you think?
It's interesting for sure. Like, I think you're doing like amazing work. I have a question. Are you close to Ethiopia as well?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm between
Supposedly
Morocco.
that's where the Ark of the Covenant is. But I know Africa is a large continent too. I was going to ask you this, like, can you tell us a little bit about your trip? Like, what's going on? Like, what were the complications, or what was, like, what, not complications, but like, what's been the like, like, how is it different than here? And like, tell us about it. It sounds interesting. Like, and your overall drive to do this.
Well, they have little cups and little spoons. Yeah,
So
I
you're drinking like
texted.
Arabic coffee, I guess, or what?
Yeah, it's coffee. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think coffee's universal. I don't think there's Arabic coffee. Like a coffee bean's a coffee bean, maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, there's like there's different kind of beans you can get. You can definitely get like Lebanese coffee or like Arabic coffee. I don't, but you're right. You're right. Maybe it's just the same, right? I
I
don't
think coffee is a universal language for sure. But I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much I could say to that. Honestly, it was a long flying trip to get here because, it's 3 flights. And then once you get into Algeria is so big that to go from city to city to city, you have to fly within Algeria. So lots of flying. I think it's definitely very different. It does carry the label of being a third world country. Um, it's not really like that in the capital, like Algiers, and also some other major bigger cities like Constantine. Like they seem to be actually like very nice cities that are like, up on the culture, up on
I,
technology.
I just wanted to say, you just reminded me, there used to be a movie back in like way before our time. Like, like I don't know if you remember being young. Well, you're younger than me. But like there was like when they would play those old movies when we were kids, there was a movie called Algiers. It was like a really old classical movie that like showed that capital of Algiers there. I don't know much about it. I just know they made, so it must have been a bustling city at one point or something.
I think Algiers would be the main place that tourists would go. Otherwise, I don't think tourists travel to many other cities here. Um, I say that because, like, honestly, some of these areas that I have to get to are red zones. So it's like they're not actually recommended for people to travel unless you have some sort of like clearing or pass.
What do you mean by a red
Um,
zone?
Meaning like they're a little bit more dangerous to go to.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say, do you feel safe?
I do feel safe just because I have a really deep-rooted connection here to some friends and their family, and they've been nothing but like extremely supportive, extremely protective, even to the point that I'm kind of held in secrecy. I'll be honest with you. Like I have been wearing the hijab, so I blend in, so I don't show any of my hair because it's like if they see blonde hair, they're gonna know, like American Traveler type thing. So like there's definitely precautions you have to take. You travel with your groups of people. Like if you go out, like you're with your group, you're with your family, you're surrounded by people that are with you. Like you go out with like 5 people. So it's different. It's definitely different, but I feel extremely safe. Plus I have tour guides hired. So when I actually go down there, I'm going to be like going directly to tour guides that are going to take me out into the desert, that are going to show me like let me film out there, perform my teen Hinan video that I'm creating because I'm creating an artistic piece, also to visit the gravesite, go to some of the historical museums, stuff like that. So yeah, I have a whole itinerary that's going to be that I need to get to. So it's a journey. It
How
is a
long are you
journey,
going to
but
be there? How long are you planning on being there for?
I'm gonna be here until the end of November.
So like Thanksgiving.
So yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
You really have a mission.
I know. I do. I have a mission. When I go places, I like to stay for a little while because I really like to absorb their way of life. Um, I feel like I'm currently learning Arabic because obviously it's a language that I need here, but every time I do like these major travels, like I'm always guided to go to the Middle Eastern regions, like Egypt, Algeria. Like I don't know what's going on. So I feel like it's like in my destiny path to learn this language and to really absorb the culture and just like get these experiences grounded because um I don't know exactly what my destiny path is, but I feel like it is just to reveal more truths, like more hidden and unseen truths. I also think that Algeria is a place that's underrated and undermined and like not really seen as a tourist site or location. And so it would really help the country if people took more interest in it, and like came to visit things here because I'm telling you,
Oh,
the
I was going to ask
archaeological,
you. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to
yeah,
interrupt your thought. I was going to ask you about the ruins there. Like we haven't talked about that yet, too.
yeah. The archaeological sites here are insane, dude. Insane. I'm talking like, let's say I went to Rome, I went to the Vatican, and I went to Palatine Hill. Okay, I've gone through that whole thing, seen all of the temples of Jupiter, temples of Saturn, temples of Juno, all that stuff. Well, guess what? It's all freaking here. It's all here in North Africa. The same replica. It's like they tried to build Rome here. They did try to build Rome here. They have the Byzantine uh Caracalla, I never say his name, Caracalla Roman Empire. He built a wall fortress here just like they built in Rome. Okay, they have temples of Minerva, temples of Jupiter. They have entire ruined cities here.
Are there any
One
like
of them is called
megaliths or monoliths that like that you've seen like real giant giant stuff like they have like like how there's like Baalbek in Lebanon and there's the pyramids and there's megaliths all over the world. Have you seen any kind of that kind of building there, or is it like hidden or
Yeah, I'm going to one that's called Timgad actually tomorrow. It's a giant ancient Roman city that has like an amphitheater, has like a pyramid. I mean, I'm gonna take lots of pictures and let you guys see it, but it's literally insane. And yeah, there's a lot of pyramids here, like the Mausoleum Pyramid, which is actually the burial site of Cleopatra Selene. So Cleopatra Selene is buried here in Algeria, which a lot of people don't know, but she's built underneath that pyramid.
wait, now who's Cleopatra Selene? Is that the regular Cleopatra or is that another Cleopatra?
I think that's one of her daughters.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not 100% on that, but I think so. Um, yeah. So there's a lot here. I mean, I just went to um a Roman site that here that they call Les Basilica. which was a church, but it's a giant freaking compound that has like all kinds of underground tunnels and catacombs. And we actually got
What?
yeah, we actually got the tour guide. He says, come back on Saturday at like 10 o'clock and he's going to take us underneath into the catacombs and stuff. And apparently there are catacomb underground cities that go to Carthage.
To Carthage,
Carthage,
the ancient Carthage.
Carthage. Yes,
You
yes,
know who that
yes.
was? I think the ancient Carthaginians were like the Phoenicians, which were like the like ancient seafarers, like which were like it ties back to like my roots because they were like the Phoenicians were the ancient Lebanese, but they say that the Carthaginians could have been the I think I'm not sure about that. But that's mainstream history I'm quoting too. So like like
Yeah.
what's great about what you're doing is you're getting like an alternative picture so we can understand this from an alternative lens, which I love because I think a lot of mainstream history is bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think Carthage was definitely an ancient city that ruled in ancient antiquity for a very, very long time. And I don't think Rome liked that. I think it was like Caesar, these like Roman empires that came down and kept trying to like take Carthage out. And so once they did that, they thought they had the right to basically capitalize all of North Africa. So that mainstream history actually plays into a huge region of why Rome was even here in the first place. And so yeah, like I literally have entire books of like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sites of Roman archaeological sites in North Africa. Like if people knew they were here, they would come here to see them because I mean, why go to Rome when you can have an entire archaeological site to yourself because nobody's here, because nobody knows about it. It's like for an artist or for a writer or for a dreamer, it's a playground. You know what I mean? Like it's insane.
What are the people that you're like with? I mean, like, or do they understand that you do things from like an alternative lens and like, or do they appreciate that? And like, because you said you're kind of like with an Algerian family, like, what are they like?
Yeah.
And then did you go with any friends or anything? And are they investigating with you or like, what's that like?
Well, my one main friend is like my interpreter, so he does a lot of the translating for me with the family, but I'm also using Google Translator a lot. Um, I think there's definitely a barrier in their full understanding of what like my purpose and my intention is here. Like I don't think they can probably fully understand that, but I
Like
think
they don't
they
understand grid work.
right. No, 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 no. Exactly. But they see into the beauty in the art and what it is I'm trying to do. And so they support me supporting Algeria. They want me to support Algeria. They want me to be like, give it a good like reputation to the world because that's what they feel that like they don't have a reputation to the world. Like they feel like um they're a very new country. They're a baby country of independence. Like they just gained their independence in like 1967 from France. Like France had colonized them for a long time. So they speak like a very interesting dialect of Arabic. It's French and Arabic. So it's like so weird because you're hearing this hawking of Arabic, like, with their pronunciation, with like this French like twist on it. It's like
That's
it's
so
really
interesting you said that because I heard if you go to Lebanon, I know about this a little bit because well, okay, so like they were colonized by the French, so they speak Arabic, but they also speak French. So I think you're going to get the same thing there. I wonder if it's like that in a lot of Middle Eastern countries because the French colonized there.
yeah,
Like different people
yeah,
colonized over time. Like you have the ancient with the Romans, but then you have the more modern influence with the French because the French were
yeah.
like more recent colonizers, I think, to the
Yeah,
area.
yeah. You're exactly right. Wow, you know so much too. Um, yeah, it's an interesting part of history. Yeah, French do not have a good reputation down here. Like they don't like it. Like, you know, the Algerians are they kind of smug at the French, they're ready to be done with them. And,
Yeah.
I think that's how Moroccans feel. I think everybody kind of up here, like
Is
they're
the
ready
is
to
the
be,
currently country currently free or is it under occupation now?
it's currently free.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But it is different here. Like, remember I told you about pooping?
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that. I didn't know if you wanted to go there. So like, yeah, you can tell us about it
Uh,
because like I don't know how I'd feel about that.
I
Like,
I
I'd
thought
be packing like those wet wipes, you know, that's what I'd be packing, like for sure. Like,
yes, yes, yes. Well, yeah, when I first came in the home, like they showed me the bathroom area, and I mean it's very clean. It's not like dirty or like weird or anything, but they have two different styles of toilets, and most of the Algerians use the Turkish style, which is actually just like 2 foot pivot parts that you stand over a hole and you just go into the squat position and just drop it down. And then when you're done, you have a hose that you take off and you just spray your parts, basically. So no need for toilet paper, no need for wipes. You just you just wash your booty right there and then. Which
is it awkward at first?
oh my gosh. Oh, that was the hardest part because when I first seen that, I kept thinking in my head, like, I can't. Like, oh my God. So I was like holding it. I was holding it for a long time.
And now you just get used to it because I mean it's like everybody does it. I mean it's nothing like it's not like something you can, you know. So
What
it's
can you do? You have to go to the bathroom. It's not
yeah.
like I can hold that till Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna have to squat in the hole and use the hose. I mean, it's it wasn't so bad though after I did it. Like it was more just like that it was new and something I never done before. And I mean, honestly, I think the hose is nice. I think all Americans should have a hose. I
Well,
mean, it's
well, yeah, I heard people have bidets here. Like a lot, some
hmm
like richer people have bidets and stuff. I don't. I don't. I mean, and then it's interesting though when when you talk about it from a conspiratorial like lens, like they say that there's chemicals in the toilet paper and like the wet wipes that we use. So like they're probably a lot more healthier. I've heard that like when you wipe with toilet paper, you're getting like chemicals all over your butt. So like that's what I've heard, and I don't know what else to use. So, like
I you could always install a bidet. But I had this conversation with a couple of Algerians the other day because they spoke pretty good English, so we could actually conversate. And two of them had moved to America. They've been nationalized as Americans, and they said that they never got sick with anxiety or depression until they moved to America. And I've been noticing here, like all their meat is directly from the farm. Like there's nothing, you're not eating, and you can taste it. I mean, because they made dinner last night, chicken and sausage and chicken liver. They cook with chicken liver. They cook
is it
crazy meats
good?
here. The chicken, it's just, I don't know, liver's hard for me because it's kind of chalky the way it falls apart in your mouth. I'm not
Do
very,
their animals run free? Like, is it like real organic?
oh, super organic, super fresh, no pesticides. Everything's table to or farm to table.
They
Um,
probably live a lot longer than us then, you know?
the water is really good. They actually have like a spring and river system that everybody gets the water from, like super fresh.
See, this is what
It's
I don't
just
understand. I'd say it's like what happened to America where we used to be like the beacon of freedom where everybody wanted to come, but now we have like GMOs and chemicals and toilet paper and pesticides and shit in the food and like it's turned into a nightmare, you know? It's like
it is a total nightmare.
and you're like living proof of that because you're experiencing everything from a different lens right now, the way we probably should
Yeah.
be living, if that makes any sense.
Definitely more organic, but I mean there's sacrifices here too. I mean it's not like it's a rich, like the streets are all dirt, like nothing's like paved. Like it's
You know what
yeah.
I was gonna say when I was supposed to interview Dolly Indigo Star. She has the name Indigo and then her name too. She went to Egypt recently and we kept trying to plan out the interview, but her internet kept going out at night. Like we would plan the interview for like 10 or 11 o'clock her time, and then we never could do it live from Egypt because the internet would cut out at night. Do you have that problem there, or does your internet cut out at night, or do you have it all night?
That's something I've been still trying to figure out since we got here. I have international data on, so it's working here, but I think I've almost used all of it, so I'm not doing good on this. But last night it wasn't working, but the night before it was working. So I think it's spotty. I think it's spotty,
Yeah,
but once it's working during the day, it's working just fine.
yeah,
So yeah, that's
that's
something that
interesting.
it's I don't know why that is. I almost feel like it has something to do with like government regulation here.
Do they
Um
have like good restaurants there? Like, have you went to like good restaurants, or are you not really into that? Are you?
no, I've gone to some restaurants. Typically the main dishes here is couscous. So there's a lot of
I know couscous. I've eaten it before a lot. Yeah.
yeah, like
There
couscous,
there was a
chicken.
I used to go to this hip hop club in Pittsburgh here. It was like an underground hip hop club, and right next door to it, they someone opened an Ethiopian restaurant, and I think Ethiopian cuisine might be similar to Algerian cuisine because they had a lot of stuff that was like made with like a Berber's sauce. They said like I don't know if they have that there. It was like that's all I know because I know Berbers has something to do with Africa, and I know you kind of mentioned that. So I don't
Mm.
know enough about it though. I know a little bit, but it's interesting for sure.
I mean, the food's not bad. It's pretty good. You know, I've been getting lucky because staying with this family, like I'm getting all the traditional dishes and just the full-on experience of their cakes and their desserts. And they drink tea and they put nuts in their tea. So if you get tea, they put like little marshmallows, but they're nuts. And so you like eat the nuts with your tea while you drink it. I'm just trying to think what else. It's been kind of like interesting.
God, you got to watch you don't get abducted by some like terrorist organization. Do they
Oh
have
my
them there?
gosh, don't say that. Don't say that.
See you on the
Well,
news. You'll be like,
of course.
they'll be like
Of
taking you
course.
off in
Of
some
course.
jeep or something.
Oh my gosh, please do
I'm
not say
kidding.
that. Well,
I would never wish that on you. I wish you the, I hope that, I hope, well, actually, I'm so a little bit worried for you. I was like, because it's a little bit scary. Like, it's like, it's like, I mean, for us, it is because we're Americans. So it's almost like we have a target because they don't understand that we don't think like
right.
our government thinks. You know what I mean?
I mean, that has been a perception that I've been trying to transmit to the women here because try having a political conversation on Google Translator with nobody that speaks English. Like, oh my gosh, because I had to really try to express the fact that most Americans can see through what's going on in Israel and Gaza. Um, their whole thing is they're wanting to support Palestinians because they believe it's the Palestinians' land. And so they're really anti-Israel. And so I just kind of have to let them know that like Americans see through the corruption of our government and it's not the American people,
Yeah.
like we don't support the wars, we don't have choice in what's getting funded and where that funding is going to fund,
I've been
technology of mass destruction.
I was telling people like that, like I think like our job is to like be above it and try to like not pick a side necessarily, but just kind of hope for the best for all sides and hope that it just kind of resolves. So like, and again, like you said, we can't control what our government does because, and
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
that's that's the craziest part.
And that's kind of what I transmitted was that, we just want peace. I mean, really, like we wish peace and, so again though, I mean, in Algeria they are Islamic, they are Muslims. So, of course they're gonna naturally, according to their beliefs and their principalities, they're gonna align with the Palestinians and with, Gaza because that's kind of like how they see things. And so I have to be gentle and sensitive because I'm an outsider, and I'm here in their home and in their space. And so it's just about being extremely respectful for everybody's point of view and beliefs and just,
Yeah, you can't
you
really
know,
expect those people to be
yeah,
awake to where they're seeing outside of what the really religious. Because again, I think
yes,
going back
yes.
to like the esoteric stuff, I think these were religions that were made by the Anunnaki, and it's just crazy to see like how it's like spiraled into like such a control mechanism nowadays. Like it's like that's what it does.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk bad about any religion, but that's what just all religion seems like to me. you know?
I'm on board with you. I even put out a video when I was covering the conflict about how I think it's definitely a bloodline warfare that's playing out through different factions of the Anunnaki. But I also think there's more to it. I got some information the other night about it being over the Suez Canal and why America, France, and you know, the UK are so interested is because they're trying to build or tunnel out an Israel canal because the Suez Canal is generating like $9 billion of revenue that's going to Egypt. Well, if Israel can create a competitive canal to the Suez Canal, then they can generate all of that revenue. And these outside countries have a lot of interest in that route of trade of transportation, or whether they're transporting gas or oil through it. I don't know, whatever, but they're doing something over there. We know it's an Anunnaki port and Stargate over there in Saudi Arabia. And that's kind of, I think there's some grid wars going on with this, along with religious Templar wars. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
it's interesting.
yeah. I have a picture of that actually. Have you heard about this?
No, no, I'm definitely interested.
Let
This
me
is
show you
so
this
good. I think this
picture.
is people are gonna really like this. I think this I'm so glad we did this. And we have another one on the 17th if you can make it. Like, we can do another one and you can give us updates again. But I think that's what we said. I'll talk to you after, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll definitely try to do the next one with you because I think I appreciate you asking the questions because it helps me kind of just like get the information out. And yeah, this is all stuff because I'm here. I wouldn't have this information if I wasn't over here because people are like getting activated by it and sending me all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. But yeah, this is the Suez Canal, and you can see how it's going from, I don't know, is that the Red Sea, or I'm not sure what sea that is going up there, but um, that's connecting into the Mediterranean. They use those for transportation of goods um, and for oil and gas. And so Israel is supposed to have been building this out. And where that building out needs to run is through the Gaza border on the northern side. And so it could be over this needing to create this passageway for competition of business and oil and gas and financial resources. And so there's a lot of underlying things that we don't know is going on and why this stuff is being like pushed. So this is just, one theory. And even if you look this up, even if you Google or Wikipedia Israel Canal Plan, I just found it earlier. It's called the Ben Gurion Canal Project. It would connect the Gulf of Aqaba to the Mediterranean Sea. David Ben Gurion, for whom it would be named, is considered the founding father of Israel and was the first prime minister of Israel. The canal would rival the Suez Canal that runs through Egypt and is causing many disturbances throughout history.
Wow.
Um,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
they say the cost of creating this Israel canal is estimated to be 55 billion US dollars.
Wow. And do you think that that's like multiple countries interested in doing that? Like, do you think we're tied into that as well?
Yes, absolutely. Because, the US has great financial interest in Israel. Like, why else would they be funding all of the machinery?
Yeah. Yeah. We got to watch what we say because they'll take the video
And
down.
and we
But
got to think about the machinery that they're sending. Are they sending machines to tunnel out a canal and secrecy to their, you know, tools of mass destruction? They could be, there's, a lot of things that we're probably going, yeah, let's be quiet. Let's not talk about it too much. But yeah, please censor this if you need to, maybe some of the major parts. Um,
I think we're good now. I don't think we said anything that would get us taken down. I just like it's I just heard that I heard stuff. I'll tell you after this. Like I heard stuff that like if you say certain things about the war that they're going to take you down. I don't know if you heard that. Like so I've been like real careful about what I post on YouTube, like um
yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, so is there anything else you wanted to share about Algeria that we might have not covered? I tried to get into everything as far as like the travel, the food, the esoteric stuff, the I'm trying to think. Even the pooping we covered. So I
Gotta get the pooping.
I'm just so glad to
Yeah.
see you. Like, I'm so glad you're healthy and you're doing really well because, like, not that you ever weren't, you always do well, but like, it's an unsafe place. So it's like, it's good to see that you're thriving.
I don't live my life in fear when it comes to following, I guess, the grid, following where I'm supposed to be going, in this existence. Like, I don't want to hold back any experiences or opportunities that come just because I'm scared that something's going to happen to me. Like, I know I have to take precautions and I know I do have to think about my safety. And, but I don't also want to live in fear that I can't explore the world. And, I think one of the movies that gave me a lot of inspiration is Queen of the Desert with Nicole Kidman. She was like a woman back in the late 1900s that decided to travel the entire desert of Saudi Arabia, alone with like her servants and her men and the people that were hired to travel with her. But she went by camel and she went to all of the native tribes and rode her camel through tribal war lines and went to the major kings and sat with them and drank coffee and she had all of this like national interest of being like a spy for like the English and stuff. So the tribes would, get upset with her, like hold her captive. She just went through all this crap, but she became revered as like a super like queen of the deserts that even to this day, like there's been books written about her. So like it's just like I'm like, okay, if she can go do that in like the 1900s and like survive and not be killed, and like it'd be so much more like why can't I go? Why can't I
Yeah, especially when
explore
you're
in
on
similar
a
ways?
higher mission. You have a higher mission that, like, you know, maybe you even understand right now that, like, your fans understand and I understand, but like the people there might not get it yet, but it might do a lot of good for, like, like going back to the grid work and clearing some of
Yeah.
that, like, ancestral trauma and stuff like that, and like finding out about the matriarchy of the goddess and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah. It's so important that we get this information at this time. And just so you know, I am hosting a grid worker remote session on November 15th. So if anybody wants to sign up and join me, I will be anchoring codes here from North Africa and still hosting a healing session. So I think we're actually going to work on like the Suez Canal, the Israel Canal. We're going to work on clearing the dark energy out of the land. We're going to just work on the North African region and just try to anchor a lot of like codes and higher consciousness and grid healing. So if anyone wants to join me for that, it's November 15th, and I'll give you the link for it if you
yeah,
want.
yeah,
Okay, and you're welcome too to come, Robert, of course.
yeah, I'll
But
come for
yeah,
sure.
okay, that'd be
That'll be
great.
cool. Yeah. And then we can cover it when we do our next show. We can cover what you did in the next show.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I always record them and put little clips up on YouTube for people to watch. But if people want to see the whole videos, then they have to go to my Patreon to get access to all the full video clips and the entire session work. But yeah, I always include some clips for people to kind of see what is grid worker technology. A lot of people are just waking up to that, right? Like just learning about it for the first time and being called. So it's an important thing that I think coincides the dark forces. It's like the spiritual planetary shamanism that continues to elevate and keep the living light grids alive in the earth
Yeah.
for us to overcome all the crazy stuff.
I got one more question. Do they have weed there, or did you have to go? I don't. You think you're like, you're not a heavy weed smoker like me, but like I don't know. Like, I would want to smoke if I was there. Like, did they, like, do you get an opportunity or no?
They might have it here, but I don't know because it's not that I wouldn't smoke weed. It's just that like the people I'm staying with are definitely very more on the conservative side. So like even smoking cigarettes would be like, you know.
I've heard, like, I
but
remember, like,
but
I've heard,
they
like,
do have cigarettes here. They do have cigarettes here.
oh, they do. What are
Yeah.
those like? Or are they?
I haven't looked at them. I don't know. But I saw some vape pens too. They have little smoke shops here. So I don't know. Maybe I'm sure they do have weed. It's just probably like more of like an underground thing. They don't have dispensaries. It's definitely not like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If anything, it's probably like a small grower doing it on the side, like type of thing. Um, but yeah.
I had to ask because like I know that's what I'd be thinking about is there. I'd be like I'd be wanting to spark up at night and like try to like do research, like because that's what I do here.
I know. It's definitely hard to like, but the Islamic belief is very, 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 very conservative.
But
Like it's one of the strictest religions in terms of what you can and can't do, like what's considered good, what's considered bad.
I know, and that's what's weird with it, with like the weed thing. It makes me conflicted because sometimes I feel like it's here for us for like like it was meant to be like here from Earth, like like I think about that way about weed and shrooms, but then I think like there's some religions that are like totally against it, and I wonder if that's for a reason. You know, I don't know. It's like it's tough to figure out. I don't know.
Well, like Islams believe that like you're not connected to God unless you're like the most pure. Like you have to be pure in everything. Like no smoking, no destroying the temple, no drinking. Like drinking alcohol is a sin. Like they truly believe that. Um,
Do they have alcohol there though?
I think they do. Yeah, like but it's like, highly frowned upon.
Wow.
Like, oh yeah, yeah. It's probably more of like a celebratory thing or like a once in a while type of thing. But yeah, but most of them, like most of them that are truly practicing, they do not. It is like a big, big, big no-no. If you have a love interest, you absolutely cannot have sex with that woman until you're married. It's like, and the families like make sure that stuff happens. Like they will keep the women separate from the men. Like I eat dinner with the women most of the nights because the men will go eat dinner together and the women will eat dinner together. And then like there's like a lot of like interesting traditions, that they have,
I couldn't
like
live there.
etiquette.
I couldn't live without women and I'm just kidding. But I mean like I just
It,
don't know how I would do that. Like I'm so used to like fraternizing with like the opposite sex. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like
yeah, it's you do fraternize with the opposite sex, but it's like it depends to the level of conservatism of the being. Like last night, like there was one that had came here that was like did not look at any other women except for his wife. So all women when this person came around would have to like leave the room because he does not like see other women. Like it's different. It's just different. I don't know. I'm observing it. I'm I'm respectful and honoring their processes, everything, and just it's a lot of having to keep myself in like kind of submission a little bit. Yeah. That's the difficult aspect of it because it's like I do feel a little bit like my freedoms are a little bit like it's not that I'm not getting what I need, but I don't have as much choice to act upon what I want or where I want to go when I want to do it type of thing, especially as a woman here, like visiting. Like, I have to get permission from certain people. It has to be prepared, it has to be planned, and then I also have to be protected. So there's all of this process that goes into moving me around here. It's literally insane. Um, but it's kind of fun at the same time, like just to have a different experience. So I'm gonna write about all this more. Like I'm gonna share it on my newsletters and stuff. So be sure to sign up for my newsletters, IndigoAngel222.com. I always put everything out in writing so that way people can, go along on the journey with me if they want to.
yeah, this is amazing. This is really cool. I'm so glad we did this. Like I'm gonna put it out now, actually. I'm gonna let it convert and then I'll put it out now. And yeah, so it'll be out this afternoon here in the United States. So, and all right, well, be safe and I'll stay in touch. And I think we have another date on the 17th. if you still want to do that, if you have more stuff you want to share. But if you feel like you don't have enough yet, we can always postpone it or whatever. So whatever you want to
I
do.
think I'm gonna have a lot more. There's so much coming in being here. The codes are just streamlining.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good, Rob. I'll see you guys on the 17th.
Okay. I'll talk to you in between. All
Assalamu
right.
alaikum.
Same to you. All right. Bye.